Hello everyone, how are you people doing? Hope you people are doing well. Welcome back to today's tutorial. So in today's tutorial we are going to learn how to make this shift gown that is on display here. But before I proceed, I want to say thank you to my returning subscribers and those who are stopping by for the first time. Please don't leave without subscribing to my channel to support me, and also share my videos, comment on my videos, and share my videos to your friends and family. And don't forget to put on the notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post a new video. So now let us go to the cutting table to proceed to today's tutorial. So we are using this Ankara fabrics for this tutorial. So I'm going to put it on fold or now. Then what will determine my fold is my hip measurement. I'm going to fold with my hip circumference, divide by 4. The hip I'm working with is 48 inches. When you divide by 4 to give you 12 inches. So I'm going to put 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. That will be 14 inches. So that means I'm folding with 14 inches. Okay, I've put it on fold. Here is my bust line, here is my waistline, and here is my hip line. Then this is the full length of my dress, and here is my hemline. So now we are going to input our body measurements. So I'm taking my shoulder measurement. Now my shoulder is 17 inches. 17 inches divided by 2 will give me 8.5 plus ½ inch for joining of the sleeve. That will give me 9 inches. This is my shoulder measurement. So I will take my neck width. The neck width I'm working with here is the normal 3 inches. So the depth, neck depth I'm working with is 5 inches. For the front, I'm working on the front pattern now. So here I'm taking my armhole measurement of 9 inches. Then I'll also come down for my shoulder slope with 1 inch. So this my shoulder slope, I'm going to connect it to my neck width of 3 inches. So now I'm going to take the actual neck width I'm using for this fabrics. I'm taking 4 inches here. So my 4 inches enter. You see, it didn't go straight. I followed the slope, the 4 inches. So while the depth is 5 inches. So I'm taking my 5 inches here. I'm connecting it now. Then I'll curve my neckline. So this is my armhole. I will find the mid of my armhole. Now my armhole is 8 inches here because I've removed 1 inch for the slope. So the mid of 8 inches is 4 inches. At this 4 inches, I'll go in by ½ an inch. So from this ½ an inch, I will connect it to this slope and also curve my armhole from it. So from here now, I'll just curve my armhole. Hope you are seeing what I'm doing. And from here also, I will connect it to my slope. So that's my armhole now. So I'm going to take my body measurement. The bust circumference I'm working with is 42 inches. When you divide it by 4, it will give you 10.5 plus 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance. That will be 12.5 inches. So this is my 12.5 inches here. The waist I'm working with is 38 Divide by 4 is 9.5, plus 1 inch for ease, 10.5, plus 1 inch for seam allowance, that's 11.5 inches. The hip I'm working with is 48 inches, which is 12 inches. Then plus 1 inch for ease and 1 inch for seam allowance, that's 14 inches when you divide it by 4. So this is it. So the same measurement I have on my hip is what I will have on my hemline. That is 14 inches. I'm not going to increase it. I'm taking it the way it is, 14 inches. So now I'm going to connect the points. I'll connect from my armhole to my waist line. Then from my waist, I'll connect to my hip. Then from my hip, I'll just go straight to my hemline. So this is what I have now. So all the sharp objects, please, you have to blend it so that it will not be pointed at the end. So now I'm going to cut this out now. So this is what we have now. I'm going to use this to cut the back. The only difference is that my armhole for the back, I'm not going to dip it in by half an inch. No, I'm not dipping it in. And my neckline will also change for the back. And also the back is going to have a zipper allowance. That's the only difference. So now I've folded my back. As you can see, this is the zipper allowance. This is my front fabric. I just placed it on top of my folded fabric so that I'll use it to cut out the back. So here you can see the front armhole here and see the back armhole here. I have marked my normal armhole. That half inch I removed, I've returned it back. This is my shoulder slope. I've traced it. So at this neckline now, I'm going to take the depth of 1.5 inches for my back neckline. 1.5 inches. So I'm going to curve it now. I've curved it. This is my back neckline. So this my zipper allowance, I'm going to cut it open. It's on fold. I will cut it open. So now I'm tracing my front pattern because I'm going to lift it up to cut the back. So I can now remove it. This is what I have. This is now what I have for the back. I hope you are seeing it. So I'm going to cut it out now. This is what I have for the back, 2 pieces. So the next thing is to cut lining for it, and our lining is going to be shorter with 2 inches. Okay, now we are done with the cutting of the lining. We proceed to the sewing. So now I'm going to open up my fabrics to the right side this way. So I will also bring my lining So you arrange it very well. Arrange the neckline, pin it down, and sew. After sewing, please don't forget to notch and top stitch your neckline. Then I will also bring the hem together. You know the lining is shorter, but I will make it to be equal. I will also sew, and I will now sew these two sides. When you want to sew the sides, it will not be equal, but you have to drag the armhole to be equal. Once you drag the armhole to be equal, you just sew. So that's what I will do for both the front and the back. Okay, I'm done turning with the lining, and I've as well gone ahead to join the shoulders and also shape with my 1-inch seam allowance. Please, for those of us that don't know how to join shoulder, please try to watch my previous tutorials on my channel. You will get to know how to join shoulders. So the next thing now is to fix our sleeve. So I'm going to cut the sleeve that I'll be using for this gown now. So I'm using this organza fabrics for my sleeve. So the sleeve length I'm using is 22 inches, but I actually have about 24 inches here, because I'll be needing 1.5 inches here for my down folding in, and here I will be using 1/2 inch to join to my dress. So, and it's going to be a balloon sleeve. So I have here 15 inches on fold. So I'm going to get my sleeve cap here. The sleeve cap I'm working with is 5 inches. That's my sleeve cap. I hope you are seeing what I'm doing. This is my sleeve where my 5 inches is. So I'm going to curve from here to that my 5 inches area. So this is what I have. This line here is my startup line. So I'm cutting this place off. So at this down here at my cuff area, my round sleeve is 8 inches. Because my fabric is on fold of 2, I'm going to divide the 8 inches by 2. 8 divided by 2 will give me 4 inches. So I have here my 4 inches. So I'm going to, because I'm going to put elastic on it that will gather it together. So I'm going to put like another 4 inches here. This includes my sewing allowance. So from this point, I will connect it to my armhole. So I'll just put my ruler this way. So this is what I have now. So I'm going to cut this out now. So I'm cutting the 2 sleeves at once because this fabric is on 4 folds. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm cutting the 2 sleeves at the same time. So at this center here, I'm going to put a notch here. This will enable me to know. So now I'm done cutting out the sleeve. So this is my fabrics that I've already cut out for my elastic casing. So by the time I'm done folding the hem of my sleeve, folding it, I have to insert elastic here to gather this area. So these fabrics that I cut out is what will form the casing for my elastic, and I have here about 1.5 inches for the width, for the length of the height of the fabrics, while the width is the same with the width of my sleeve. So now I'm going to start sewing. First I'm going to hem the down of the sleeve. After hemming in, as in folding it in, I'll fold it once, fold the second one, and sew. Then I will sew the casing, which is this here. So I'm done folding the down of my sleeve. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to sew the casing. Okay, this is the casing now. This is the wrong side, it's facing up, while my right side is facing the right side of my sleeve. So I'm going to put it, watch what I'm doing, see what I did. I'm going to sew with 1/4 inch. So, and I'll make sure that my sewing, I'm going to sew on this thread that I've sewn, on this stitch I've sewed here before. This way I'm going to sew. So I'll put it here and pin it down, making sure that I have 1/4 inch allowance on this side. Then I'll pin it down. I'll also arrange it here and pin it down. So I'll pin everything down, but I want to show you something. By the time I'm done arranging it, I will turn it to the wrong side. When I want to sew on my machine now, I'm going to turn it to the wrong side, making sure that I have my 1/4 inch on this side. Then I will sew on the same stitch down. That's what I'm going to do. I will just maintain the same stitch line and sew it down. So when I'm done sewing it, so I will have something like this now. I'm done sewing it. So I'll turn it to the right side again. The next thing I'm going to do now, I'll move it this way. Use my iron to iron it down so that it will be relaxed. Then I will fold in 1/4 inch in this way again and sew 1/4 inch in. But before I will sew, I will make sure that I iron. I will sew. By the time I'm done sewing it like this, I will insert my elastic. I'm going to pleat this up. I will measure some, like I've left about 6 inches here now. From this point, I will pleat till this side also to get exactly my armhole. Then after doing that, I will turn my sleeve like this, close up here, and attach it to my gown. So as you can see, I'm done attaching my sleeve, and this is how the gown came out. Please, if you have not subscribed to my channel, please do me a favor to subscribe, like, comment, share my videos. Please, I'm begging you, help a sister. I need it to grow. So this brings us to the end of this tutorial. Thank you and God bless you for watching. See you in the next tutorial. Bye.